Yo, what's up everybody? This is Jose from Florida Hood Blogs. Florida is a fun place. We got freshwater fishing, we got saltwater fishing, we got roadside attractions. Yes, we have amusement parks, we have beaches. There's so much to do in Florida. You can go boating, Florida man, iguanas, car accidents, and of course Medicaid fraud. There's also the opportunity to make a lot of big money in big cities. However, we're going to talk about the top 10 most boring places in Florida. Number 10, Fellsmore. I-95 is a boring stretch of road. That's why all the towns are along the coast. However, whose idea was it to put this town inland along I-95? The town is one of the most Mexican towns in Florida, other than Immokalee itself. And there's also another town near Tampa called, I forgot what it's called, Wilmama. Wilmama, Fellsmore, and Immokalee are the three most Mexican towns in Florida, and that is because the jobs are mostly related to agriculture. Who wants to do that for a living? I know I don't. But the town doesn't even have all that great of Mexican restaurants. I went on YouTube to see what young people do for fun here. Apparently they hang out outside of a gas station at night and make rap music videos, but they're not even talented enough to make their own rap music videos. They just sing along to other people's rap music videos. What a boring town. I've been here. It is one of those places you just want to leave. And go to number 9, Otter Creek, Florida. Unless you are starting a meth lab, there's probably no other reason why you would want to go here. Unfortunately, this area is plagued with heavy drug addiction and absolutely nothing to do. It's absolutely in the middle of nowhere, and to add to that, the mosquitoes in this area are unbearable. It's a horrible place to live. Most of the town lays abandoned and in ruins. And when you get into the side streets, you see a lot of signs of drug addiction. It's just a very sad, boring place. The fishing could be fun. However, the mosquitoes are so heavy in the area that as soon as you get into the backwoods and creeks, you end up getting bitten by mosquitoes, ticks, and all types of other natural hazards in the area. So you can't even enjoy the few little bridges and things there are to do because the area is so hostile to humans. It is definitely a boring place. There are not much things to do as far as restaurants, shopping, unless you're shopping for methamphetamine. In that case, you'll have many options. Number 8 is Old Town, Florida. Take me down to the Old Town Road so I can be bored out of my mind. Not only is the town bored, but the roads are not even paved for the most part, and people just dump their garbage everywhere. This is a very boring place to live. There's not a lot to do. The only thing we found was nearby Fanning Springs had an awesome barbecue place. The area is really boring. There's a little fort, there's a Swanee River, which looks like a lot of fun, but let's be honest, it takes more than one river to have fun. You need more things to do in the area, and the only thing to do in the area is to get drunk and go onto this river, and that will get dangerous or unsafe or plain out boring after a while. How many times before you get on your John boat drunk on the Swanee River before you say, I've had enough of this place? Old Town doesn't really offer anything other than affordable housing, and you'll be so bored you had wished you had moved here. Definitely deserves its place along the list of most boring places in Florida. Right next to number 7, Waldo. Waldo is extremely boring. The town's most prominent feature is a bridge that they had to build to get over the railroad tracks. Other than that, and a few barbecue stands, the location of this town really sucks. There's nothing to do. Once you get familiar with the landscape of the town after being there for about 30 minutes, you're going to wish you were somewhere else. I am the man of constant boredom because I live in Waldo. I'm going back to old Kentucky where I will not be as bored as I would be in Waldo. This town is so boring that the criminals are actually hoping that the cops will pick them up so they can go to one of the many correctional facilities in the area. By the way, if you're looking for employment in this part of Florida, you're cutting down trees, you're driving a semi-truck that's hauling trees, or you're an inmate, or you're watching over inmates. It is a boring part of Florida. Number 6, Baldwin. Outside of Jacksonville, Florida, the Duval, baby, is Baldwin. This town will bore you out of your mind. It is an absolutely boring town. The only thing this town had going for it was a barbecue place that was amazing. However, the barbecue place is now closed forever, and we cannot enjoy the only thing that made this town interesting. It has everything a boring town would have. A Dollar General, train tracks right through the middle of town, proximity to a larger city along boring, desolate roads. In this area of Florida, if you don't like change, this part of Florida does not change. We first went there in 2012. We go back, and the entire 301 corridor looks identical to the way it used to be. If you're looking for something fun to do in Baldwin, you can go to the Waffle House or one of the 2 truck stops. What about Burger King? That's all this town has to offer. Number 5, Chattahoochee. Way down under in Chattahoochee, it gets hotter than a hoochie coochie. We laid rubber on the Florida asphalt. We did a lot of stuff, but we never had any fun. What a boring town. The town is, it has things to do, don't get me wrong. It's a really awesome, like real small town vibe type of town. And it does have a river for fishing nearby. There are things to do in this town, and it's a must-visit Florida destination if you like those weird, awkward little small towns. It's an amazing little town. However, the location is in absolute middle of nowhere. You're far from Tallahassee. You're far from anything. I mean, you're talking about you want to go to Dolphin, Georgia, if you want to go to a big city. That doesn't sound fun. How about Bainbridge? Bainbridge. I mean, I've been to Bainbridge, and the whole area of South Georgia I'm familiar with. It is an absolutely boring area. Like, the most fun you're ever going to have in those towns is maybe going to a Waffle House. Number 4, Soulful Springs. What a boring town. All they have going on is like a grocery store that sells Mexican carnicerias. You'd think they'd have some amazing restaurants, but they don't. You'd think they'd have great barbecue, but they don't. It is the absolute most boring point in all of South Central Florida. And to add to that, they actually have springs there. Are they good springs? No, they're called Soulful Springs because there's actually sulfur in the springs. Guess what? I'm allergic to sulfur. So the most fun I'm ever going to have in this town is having an asthma attack. What a boring place. There's nothing to do. They've tried painting some of the buildings colorful and painting a pig on the side of a building for attraction or fun. Or maybe they were just so bored that the cook went outside one day and just drew a pig on the side of the building. Absolutely boring. The most action you're going to see in this town is migrant workers getting off a bus and going to the grocery store. That's the only thing that happens here. Absolutely boring town. Number 3, Moorhaven. This town is so boring that if you go there, you become the attraction. Yes, I went there and everybody waved at me. I called my friend, he's from Moorhaven. I was like, dude, your town is so friendly. Everybody waved at me. He said, Jose, they're not friendly. They're just bored out of their minds, and you are something new to look at. The most interesting thing to do in this town is not a structure. It's not a building. There are no grocery stores. There's nothing to do in this town. All the businesses left. The only thing that the locals really can do is hang out by a large tree. Yes, there's a tree, and that apparently is the hangout spot in this town. There's not anything to do here. Somebody needs to open up a skating ring. Somebody needs to open up at least a Dollar General or something. Do they have a Dollar General? And if they do, they're probably going out of business. This town is in the middle of nowhere, and there is fishing nearby at the locks. However, there's no natural beauty. It is just a straight shot canal. Very boring place. Number 2 is not too far away, Indian Town. This place is another one of those places in the absolute middle of nowhere. At least in Moorhaven, they have a tree. In Indian Town, not even the grass wants to grow. Even the grass is like, you know what, man, I'm just gonna die right here. If you have enough time to put a baby blue vinyl top on your Caprice, somebody in your town has too much time on their hands, and it seems like the only thing people can do is trick out their cars and hope that one day their cars will go far enough to take them out of Indiantown to somewhere more prosperous like Vero Beach or something like that. I have no idea where they're planning to go to, but it is a boring town. The drive there is boring, and when you get there, the destination itself is not any better. Usually, small towns have really highly rated restaurants. Restaurants in Indiantown range from a 3.7 to a 4.2. Usually people in small towns enjoy their local restaurants and they give them high ratings, but in Indiantown, not even the restaurants seem to be attractive. And you'll notice that in small towns, restaurants will usually have really high ratings, even though they're not all that great, because the local people want to support local business. In Indiantown, it's just like, whatever, we don't care about your business. Number 1, South Bay. Not sure why I sang that, but South Bay is a boring place. Surrounded by sugarcane fields, the town has nothing. No good restaurants. I mean, like a gas station and like a road that splits the town in the intersection of 27 and 80, and that is about it. This town will bore you to death. Very, very boring town. Absolutely the most boring town. Not only is it boring, let's say you want to do some short trips, you can go to Clewiston or to Belle Glade. Are you kidding me? Those are boring places. Not only is it in a boring location of Florida, surrounded by nothing but sugarcane, yeah, basically, it wins. Congratulations, South Bay. You've been elected as the most boring city in Florida. And in a fun state, this area is horrible. The only big feature of the area is Lake Okeechobee. What do you find in Lake Okeechobee? Car tires and shopping carts. How does a shopping cart end up in the middle of Lake Okeechobee? It's like gigantic. It's like, how do you you realize you literally have to grab the shopping cart and put it on your boat, drive across town with it to dump it in the middle of a lake. How does a shopping cart end up in the middle of a lake? How, South Bay, did somebody in your town come up with the idea of dumping a shopping cart in the middle of the lake so when somebody's fishing, they actually catch a shopping cart? However, it does have proximity to Belle Glade, so if you're looking to hang out on a Friday night, maybe get shot once or twice, you can go down to Belle Glade for a completely fun place. If you didn't know this, Belle Glade gets really packed. It's a small town. Everybody gathers there. And I guess if you want to get shot on a Saturday or Friday night, you go hang out in Belle Glade. If you're a fun person and you move here, you're going to regret it. And remember, people, this is just my opinion. It is really hard to come up with a list of boring places because that is going to vary from person to person. There may be somebody living in South Bay who thinks going to Belle Glade on a Friday night is amazing and makes living in South Bay incredible. Maybe there's a guy out there that likes driving a tractor and he has a job driving a tractor to South Bay and he thinks it's amazing. So if you don't agree with me, just leave your comments and thoughts. And I could be wrong, okay? It's 100%. I could make a mistake. For example, when I did the most charming towns in Florida, I forgot to mention Mount Dora. Like, duh. How do you forget that? You can forget that, okay? So please, if I forgot something, just leave it in a comment and we can always make a revision if I'm really off on this list. And remember, we don't have to agree on everything. It's okay to disagree. We can still be friends even if we don't agree on something. Wouldn't the world be a boring place if we all liked the same things and all thought the same way? What you guys like about my channel is that I'm different, unique, and so are my thoughts.